Well, hello everybody. How you doing this day on this Saturday, as we say, and all that good stuff. It's I'm just spin doctoring what I'm saying right now. But how are you doing this good afternoon? Yes, exactly. I am Jedi Granville, and this is Jedi Granville Productions. And with me today, I got my soul brother of another mother, Mr. DJ Anubis from Metal Tavern Radio. How you doing today, brother?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me again. Love doing this show with you.
Okay, well, we're just gonna have a little bit of fun, as the saying goes. I mean, this is just something that I wanted to kind of deal with, and talk about because this is a film that I don't think gets too many airplay, but then again, is made by some very, very creative uh, filmmakers or storytellers, if you like to talk about.
Mhm.
And that film is, or films in general, but it's a film together, which is Grindhouse. And this is a film that is basically two films in one. And the crazy thing about this film is that this is nothing new of what you call not so much original, but it's done in a way where it's taken an old premise, which is taking something from the back in the 60s, early 70s, and modernize it in the 20th 21st century. In fact, before we get along the way here, let me just read the actual definition of what grindhouse actually means. And this is what it says: a grindhouse is a cinema popular in the US from the 1920s to the 1980s that specializes in showing low budget exploitation films such as horror, splatter, or martial art films, often in a triple feature format. Okay, so this film is no different from what I just read because it's a film that has two films that are done by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. First, starting with Planet Terror. And I have to
Mhm.
say, when I first heard that name, I thought like Planet Terror. It's like what horror are we going to experience in this, and everything. And then the other one is the Tarantino joint, which is Death Proof. You know,
Yep.
which is a pretty decent film. But just to kind of get an idea of what these films are, or this film in general is, when did you first hear about this particular movie or movies that are combined together? When did you first hear about it?
I definitely remember the trailers when they came out back, I think it's around 2007. I think these films came out. And I got really excited. Obviously, Rodriguez and Tarantino go way back to From Dusk Till Dawn. They're both big fans of each other. Rodriguez had done Desperado, Tarantino Pulp Fiction, of course. And they both have this love for nostalgia grindhouse films. And rewatching this the other day for the first time in a while, you really start to pick up on the aesthetic that they use, like the trailers. Like it's funny to me now because I always remember Machete becoming a real movie out of that trailer. But so
Right.
did Thanksgiving. I totally forgot about Thanksgiving, Eli Roth. So
Yeah.
he ended up doing a movie based upon a trailer as well. So now we're just waiting on Zombie to do the werewolf girls of the SS, which would be
Mhm.
nice to see because I'm really excited about that Notspillation flick. But the way that they set it up, especially as you said, because in the old days, especially in drive-ins, the Grindhouse was very big in the drive-ins.
Right.
They would do those double features, and so it played exactly like that. And I don't remember if they did it. I guess they sort of did it in the movies that we watched on streaming, where
Yeah.
once one movie ends, they kind of went to like a intermission trailer thing, and then went into the other film. So I really love the aesthetic that they brought to it because it made it feel exactly like you said. It made you feel like it was a film you could have taken back to the 1970s, and even the grindy looking of the filmmaking, the 8 millimeter, whatever it is they're using for that, the tent and stuff like that. It's just really amazing how they came up with that. I know that Tarantino is a huge martial arts movie fan, and so you just kind of get that vibe all over in this between the two of them, and it's their aesthetic is like Rodriguez, and Tarantino dabble in both action and horror, so it's really cool to see that how they came up with this.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, when I first, like you say, the trailers, for this film, it got me really jazzed up for it. But I was kind of like saying to myself, wait a minute, this is not so much of a new process. This is actually something that they're doing a love letter to these films. Because I don't know if you ever did, but I had a chance to see some of these kind of grindhouse films back in the day in the theater. I mean, now I did see, because we did have a drive-in in our town too when it was still functioning. We would go to movies where we see some trailers like this, and it's like, dude, what is that? I mean, but of course, I'm too young to go see these. But I knew some kids who had parents who would actually take their kids to see these films. Like, oh my god, what are y'all thinking? But the fact that when this film did come out, or film together, is functioning as a double feature. I really, because I actually saw a kind of a review about it, before I went to go see it. And the funny thing is, when I went to go see it in the theater, I heard about, the like say the scratches, the pops and webs, so the dust and everything that's ingrained into the film. It's like, well, that is exactly what you want to see, because that's exactly the effect that you want to see when you see a film that's kind of worn, kind of like cheaply made or whatever. And there's a moment in that film where you see the color scheme just go like completely just one color, and it's like, wow, that's it's kind of unique. But it's a joy when I went to go see it, because I only got to see it once in the theater, and that's the kind of sad thing. I wish I did get to see it twice in the theater, but the one time I did go see it, it was a love letter to so many things that I've seen beforehand, and I just wish that I could have seen it. And like I say, yeah, that's right, yeah, because I remember them doing these kind of things right here, like the love letter of those kind of films. Those films right there. See, that's the thing. And I know, like you mentioned before, Quentin Tarantino, he is such a big. You see it in his films nowadays, showing a lot of those, kind of homages to the films we saw about Crazy. I mean, Crazy Larry and all those things. And
Mhm.
like I said, this film is just a love letter to all those incredible films that we kind of grew up on. But I don't think we really got the gnash of it. Or I put it like this: for me, I kind of took it for granted because I didn't realize they were exploitation. I was thinking like, oh, it's just films, I mean. And then when you get into the '80s, it's like they really kind of mass produce these things like crazy, And I'm just like, and I know for me as a teenager, I know for you too, going to see films like this was just like, oh man, this is like sit back, eat your popcorn, and just have a field day with it, And it's like, wow,
Yeah,
that's what it was. It's crazy.
absolutely.
Yeah. But no, this film is I'm gonna just continually say film, because the film is just that. It's a three
You say
hour and
part one and part two.
let's do it like that, kind of, because if you have, and I don't know if you have had a chance to, but if you never got a chance to see the combined Kill Bill films together, let's just say that's probably one of the ultimate kind of grindhousey type of film
Mhm.
that it's
Yes.
like it's over 4 hours, damn near 5 hours long, to tell you the truth. But let me just say that it's worth watching it in that full length, even though they do a little bit of editing in there. I feel it's worth it. I really do. So,
Yep.
but no, to kind of get the niche of it, when you first heard about it, did you get a chance to see this part two, part three, or part two, part three, part one, part two film in the theatrical cut? I mean, in the theatrical.
I did not, unfortunately. That's probably one thing I probably regret the most because that would have been a really fun experience at the
Right.
time. Um, but eventually, when it did come, I did watch them and I just fell in love with them. little bit more with the Planet Terror versus Death Proof, but certainly again, just I already loved From Dusk Till Dawn, so I knew that with Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, that was going to be a really nice time with the Grindhouse films because those two guys, when they get together, create some magic, which is really quite amazing. Which is very interesting because obviously in this sequence, they both take their turns with one particular film, whereas From Dusk Till Dawn, they actually took turns in halves. So you kind of see Tarantino's work in the first half of the film From Dusk Till Dawn, and in the second half, it goes over to Rodriguez and all the craziness and the horror and stuff. So
Right. That's true.
I just they just really mesh. Like they really see the same vision when they work together, even if they're doing two separate films. As you watch these films, they kind of still flow seamlessly together. In fact, they even cross over. We know they actually attach to one another
Right.
in some way. So it's just a lot of fun to watch this part one and part two of this Grindhouse feature.
Great. And I mean, here's the question too. This is the kind of thing I've always noticed with comparisons with certain creators in the genre, or just in general, filmmakers. Do they feel like I'm gonna say a low budget version, but a more up to date version of like maybe George Lucas and Spielberg? Because those two, when you find out they collab together and they produce something incredible, it almost seems like, okay, are they just like what I mean, what Tarantino and Rodriguez are in a sense? Do you think a little bit?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't know if George kind of like ventured as far as Steven did. Steven always did, Steven to me was far more versatile and the stuff that he was putting out there. And I don't know what really held up Lucas overall, but Lucas will always remember for all his work with Star Wars and stuff like that. But outside of that, you just don't think much of Lucas outside of that. But
Yeah.
again, he does have a nice eye for the scenes that he wants. He has a good vision, especially with the Star Wars product. So him and Spielberg working together would work very well because Steven has an eye for the other thing. So I think when it comes to like uh, maybe a plot design or even just the vision of the cinematography, Lucas would probably have an advantage a little bit, whereas Spielberg has a little bit of that, but he also has a lot more to do with the story building, character building, and stuff like that, and how to execute it on film. So they both bring two different things. And I think with Rodriguez and Tarantino, it's kind of the same thing. Uh, Maybe Tarantino brings more of the nostalgia part of it, whereas Rodriguez is a little bit more the action part of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
And that's kind of the thing. I mean, because like I say, Robert Rodriguez here, he's a technical, director. I mean, he does bring some characters up, as far as that. But I think that's the thing. Tarantino is more, like I say, bring flesh out the characters a little bit more,
yeah,
that they, because if you ever watch, I mean, and I'm like I say, I know when you rewatched it, you can tell the difference between Death Proof and Planet Terror. That the Planet Terror characters is like, okay, they're very, tropey, one-sided kind of characters. But when you get into Death Proof, we break down certain things, certain aspects of certain characters, and really in Quentin Tarantinoism, he really talks about certain things that are nostalgic in terms of the character or certain genre or something that's behind. Because like we say, when we get to this, when we get there, talking about Stuntman Mike, he breaks down talking about all these, and he mentioned about the, you know, crazy or gone in 60 seconds, all that stuff, and
yeah,
bringing up about him, it's like, oh wow, it's like, because I'm listening to this and it's like, that's exactly what, because I remember, because he breaks down about what a stuntman is and how it's, everything nowadays is like I mean, just about CG, but you have some artists who still use real shit. He says, I remember, it's like growing up that I used to love how stunts were performed in the theater. I mean, in the movies. But as he describes them, it's like that's actually exactly how they did it. They actually put in these roll cages. They actually put in some kind of like cement, in the body of the damn car. It's like all these things he brings up, and this is just Quentin Tarantino's way of saying, like, I know my facts, and I'm giving it to you to express it through the character here. And
Yeah.
I think of that.
He's wonderful at the setup. Like the setup is beautifully done. But
Yes,
I'm sure we'll get to Death Truth eventually. But
we
yeah, the setup to how that part of that movie unravels is pretty quite amazing.
and it's amazing how it's done. But yes, but to kind of get rolling here, we mentioned before that this film kind of starts out with the famous, um, the fanfare, coming attractions, and before all that, with of course I've showed before, Mister
Machete.
Danny Trejo with badass machete. I mean, it's like, dude, it's like it's so funny knowing that this man is almost, I think he's almost 80, or he is the 80. He might be more, I don't know, but he was a badass in that film, and eventually Rodriguez would go on to make a movie out of that. I mean, I would never,
Mhm.
because I thought that fake trailers in this movie were a dime a dozen, and think like, well, they're not gonna really make them, but well, he did actually make a shady movie. It's like,
Well,
okay.
I think that if I recall, because back at the time that these movies got released, there was so much push to have something like Machete made. Like so many people wanted it because it looked so much fun, and it paid off. Like if you watch Machete now, or even the sequel, they are fun fucking movies, man. You will have a blast with those films, and that's everybody saw them, and that's why even now when I see the other trailers. And
Mhm.
Thanksgiving was good. I like Thanksgiving. That's one of the very few Eli Roth films I actually really like. And I forgot that trailer was even in there. So like when I see the trailers, I'm like, please tell me they're making these movies for real because I was really excited for
Right.
those. Hey Jake, what's going on, brother?
I was gonna say, Jake, what's up, brother? Happy. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, your birthday
Great
was,
happy
yeah,
birthday,
yes.
birthday boy.
All right. Hope you're not feeling too bad for being 50. Uh, I know what they did. I'm just playing with you. But no, that's the thing. It starts out with those, little nods to the old school of, theater, and we see Machete, and then they do these retro type. Well, actually, I won't say retro in terms of that, because they actually use real, advertising and banners, like the
Mhm.
tiger showing up, like say, the film you're about to watch
Yes,
is
that was so cool.
restricted. I was like, say, yeah, but no, it's I was like, dude, I'm watching this, and I'm like, I'm feeling like because when I saw the film, I was like, I wasn't even 37 yet. I was 36 because it came out in April. And watching it, I was getting so like, I'm feeling like a little kid right now because I'm seeing these little things, little nuances going up. And it was just like, man. And then when you finally hear, and that's the thing about this movie here, at least part one, but it shows up in part two too at the very end of it. That score by Rodriguez, the Grindhouse score, I mean, he's done scores before, but I think this is his it's basically his, symphony, one.
Unicorn.
Yes, thank you, because this score really amplifies of what we're watching. It's like it's say, hey, it's at the beginning of Planet. I mean, it's at the beginning of Planet Terror, but it's like we really are being pulled in to something that we don't know if we're expecting to come across with. And like I say, we start with, of course, Planet Terror, and the poster, or at least the design of what we see right here, is like not so much misleading, but it's like, wow, you got a beautiful woman with a machine gun strapped, or at least where her leg used to be at, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, where are we going with this? And when you watch it,
Well,
you're
that's
just like,
that's the cool thing about it is that, again, when you see even the trailer for Planet Terror and Death Proof, again,
mhm,
it has that like very much Grindhouse trailer vibe. Um, and really, it's funny because the past with Grindhouse films plus these were really kind of the inspiration for my own vintage cult cinema spotlight that I do on
mhm,
my channel. It's all kind of based upon some of this. Like, you go back and you figure out what kind of movies you feel like are actual classics, would be even modern day classics. So even though I love going back to the older films from my youth, it's like there's still modern day ones that I feel like people either overlook or they're underrated. And then you and I had done The King of New York. That to me is a cult classic and it would fit in the vibe. It may not look like it because it was done in 1990 compared to these films and how the look they gave to them because these are newer films, but the way that they shot them made you feel like it's from the 1970s. So I just I like the fact that these guys understood like my childhood and your childhood with how they did this film between the both of them and gave it that vibe that gives you that old youthful feeling from when we were younger. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
well, that's cool because that's literally what it is. A time capsule in a sense of rejuvenation of letting us know like what we experienced as children or at least as teenagers or whatever. Basically our youth. It's locked into that, and it won't be forgotten. Which is like I say, yeah, because again, watching it, and I wish you could have seen this on the big screen. You would have had a full. Ex, you be. I feel like this. I think you would have enjoyed this more than me because even though I enjoyed it, I feel like, holy shit, this is like on the screen. I'm seeing all this cool stuff. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. But when we get into the movie of Planet Terror, of course, we showing the certain editings and everything because the movie focuses on exploitation, whether it be sexual or violent or whatever, and they do not hold back in terms of what they do in this film. I mean, I
No,
mean, of course, it starts out with being in a strip club,
go
and
go go
yes,
dancer.
it's like it's that's the thing. It's like it's go go, not cry cry. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. But I gotta give it to Rodriguez though. I mean, he's not one of the best writers, but he's very clever in how he executes certain writing moments. Because that moment right there still sticks out, and it gives the character that cherry. It was cherry blossom, not
Cherry.
cherry.
Yeah.
Cherry, just cherry. I'm just cherry. It's very that, and then like I say, other characters that are there, are so robust. Like the Josh Brolin's character, with his wife, and that's something right there. You feel like, wow, she's having an affair, but of a certain one. It's like, okay, that's
Which again is kind of cool because it adds a different element. So Rodriguez, this is this actually movie, this particular movie has a lot going on in it, and you wouldn't really expect it because of what type of film it is. You look at it on the surface, you're like, it looks like just like a zombie, mutated film of people. But between, as you said, between Brolin's character and his wife, and then Cherry and El Rey, and then also you have Bruce Willis. When you don't, he's like a weird secret out there as well. So there's a
yeah.
lot of shit going on in this film that we just not really expecting until it starts unraveling as you're watching.
Mhm. And that's the thing, boy. I mean, it really it's and and I will say I was not really. I mean, I kind of knew, but but I didn't really know his presence in this film was going to be that dramatic or that in there. When you see him, like, oh shit, Mister John McClane is in here. So it's like, okay, what's he
I
doing?
I just when you see like the roster for this, obviously you see some of the familiar faces from Dust Till Dawn and Desperado as well, but
Right.
seeing the roster, I'm just like, I think some people when they saw that these guys were making this, they just got excited and wanted to be a part of it because there's a lot of like big names. Jeff Fahey's in this, Rose McGowan, Josh Brolin, as we know, Bruce Willis. I mean, there's just so many familiar faces, and it's like I can't blame them. If I had seen this as an actor and the script came by, and I'm like, I want in on this.
Right. Because it's not, that's all it really is. It's not something that's going to glorify your status as a actor or actress. It's all it's going to do is like, you're here to have some fun. You're here to have, just a blast and just say, run with it. It's like, it's not, because I've seen, look, let's be honest. We've seen in many films where people thought like, this is going to be something like really gravitas my fame to higher beings, but it's like, no, this is going to keep you on a down low where you're at. Whereas these are actors we know and well, as you say, but it's like, oh, we're just having fun. We're not doing anything spectacular. We're just doing something that's just like, and honestly, Bruce Willis, he pretty much did all his scenes in like maybe, from what I heard, like a day or two. That's it, because it's the editing and everything. He just that was all he did, But the thing about this film, I keep saying Death Root. It is the way they execute the certain, cuts. Like I say, you notice right off the hand, you see the scratches, the deterioration of the film stock and everything. And one of the scenes where I really, really notice it the most is when we see El Rey having Cherry in the truck. And when he almost hits something, when the truck flips over and everything, it's like, wow, I love how that looks. I mean, you could kind of tell that's kind of CG a little bit, but it's got that really kind of, stock of looking very old, very deteriorated, And I was just like, I don't know why that shot to me looks so good to me. It brought me, it literally brought me back into that days of the 70s or 80s, and I'm just like, I love this, I'm like, I love how that's looking right there. But it's basically just like I say, it's a zombie movie. But the thing about it is, you don't know if it's going to be a zombie movie or not. You just know that something is. And I know when I first took the film, this title for itself, I thought the way it sounded, Planet Terror, it's going to be a universal or worldly kind of thing, but all it is honing one spot, which I think is good, because you don't need to go halfway around the world to explain what's going on here. And if you think about it, this film is kind of a nod to another zombie film. Not, was it Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead? I think it was Dawn of the Dead. I think it's Dawn of the Dead came out first before Day of the Dead. No, was Day of the Dead? See, now I'm kind of confused.
Day of the Dead was the third one, so Dawn was the second one.
Okay, Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead, it seems more like that, only it's in the daytime and it's at nighttime. And again, all these different characters coincide with one another, like the crazy twins, this Hispanic twins who are like, it's like they're not even affected, but it's like they're just loony.
They're a pain in the ass. Like,
they are a pain in the ass.
They talk a lot of shit, but it's, even when they like get in the helicopter later, they're just like barking at each other the entire time. It's like, Jesus Christ, I don't know if I want to die from the zombies or sit here and listen to those two. Right.
It's like
we have to talk about this real quick, because I know I got more to say about this film, but the Tarantino scene where he's about to rape the one girl.
Oh my God! Yes, talk about that, please. Yes.
So, like, again, Rodriguez not holding back on anything. So the gore, obviously, in both these films is actually top notch. But especially for Planet Terror, because so much is dealt with, like the blisters and the stuff going on in the faces, arms, and legs being ripped off and shit. So, but Tarantino is playing a character of one of the soldiers under Bruce Willis's command. And these guys, we learned through this film, is they've already been infected because they went to war to kill bin Laden and all that. And they somehow got infected by some sort of gas or something while they were over there. So this new, I don't know, it's called DC2 or something that they had. was somehow keeping them repressed from like exposing themselves or coming out of that shell. Like they had these little gauges on their arms that would,
Yeah, that would indicate if it's they're out of it. Yeah.
yeah, just to make sure that they were under control, which we don't know right away. We don't even know what the fuck that all that is. But as the film goes on, we start to learn that they need to have this just to keep themselves from basically exploding or whatever the fuck it is they're doing, or turning into monsters or whatever it is. But anyway, there does come a point where Brolin's wife and I'm trying to remember the other girl, is it Cherry? Yeah, they're both been captured, and they're now Tarantino gets a bright idea with one of the other soldiers. He wants to get his dick wet, as he calls it.
Yes.
So he goes and he pulls down his pants. So you don't see his pants, you don't see anything right away. But the soldier and the girls will start looking at him like, oh shit. And then you kind of get like this back shot where it's like just below his legs. And one of his ball sacks is like dripping. It's literally coming apart from his dick. And I think that Tarantino's character is like, oh, guess I gotta work fast.
Yeah, like, no, fuck the gas, I gotta do this. I'm like, wow. I mean, that is like, yeah, that's one of the most hilarious moments in the film. And then you just say, Rodriguez does not hold back on that because it's like that's so much a moment that was grisly that they did. Yeah. So it's like, yes, I love that.
Yeah, so and obviously that's just one scene, and of course you brought up the poster for this, where in that truck wreck that El Rey and Cherry have, they're basically hanging upside down, and then all of a sudden she's attacked by some creatures that pull her out, and they of course start ripping her leg off. And El Rey's able to save her, but at first he gives her like this wooden stomp, and then she kind of fights with that. And then later on, when El Rey comes to rescue her, he puts that gun on her leg, and so basically she's able to do these crazy maneuvers because she's a dancer. Right? So one of her things is like, well, I've got this worthless skill, and she's like bending backwards. I'm like, that's not really worthless to me. But obviously she's able to do these crazy stunts with this gun and shoot and kill people, which is pretty fun. It's a fun thing for her to do in the film. But also I should note that Brolin's wife's character is having an affair with the one only Fergie. So she looks great in this film too, by the way. There's a lot of pretty ladies in these films. She doesn't make it, unfortunately, but this is such a real lot of fun for this film. Just the way that it goes about the gore, the fighting sequences. Like we said, Bruce Willis eventually has his own moments where he explains, he killed bin Laden, and the reward he got was the gas or whatever it was they picked up from over there, Agent Orange or whatever you want to call it. And he starts mutating and just becoming this big blob. And so I'll let you talk about that scene a little bit, because it's not a scene that you would normally see from Bruce Willis, because he's usually for his action and stuff. But again, I think Bruce just saw this and said, I want to be a part of this. This would be fun. I want to be a part of this.
Because I mean, that's like I say, we see those blisters and whatever when we see him, when he asks the guy, he's like, "Where's the shit?" And you see that blisters popping out. But here is magnified. Like, in fact, it almost looked like something out of Akira a little bit when he's mutating and forming up and turning into this. Yeah, like I say, this blob sack. And it's like, wow, and that's all practical. That's all practical effects, and everything. I mean, that's why I say it's like you don't have. I mean, true enough, there's CG used in this film to emphasize, certain things, but use the tried and true makeup effects because they work better than. Because let's be honest, when we watch this film, they are so over exaggerated with them bullet hits. Okay, when they fire at the zombies, it's like, damn, blood! How much blood is coming out of these damn things? It's like a not a pound, but like a gallon of blood coming out of them, just popping out. And of course, the oldest trope in the book in zombie films. I don't know why this is. when you start shooting at zombies, why does everything blow the fuck up? You know, there's that scene where they're at the police station and they're getting attacked by these zombies, and certain cars blow up, but it's like, why would they be blowing up? I mean, are the zombies explosives? Or are they, like, say, flammable or some shit? You know, it's such a, it's such a crazy thing. But yeah, with Willis, you know, it's like that is such a grotesque manifestation of what happens when you allow yourself to be compensated. When I say over exaggerated with whatever infected you, and then you just turn into something that maybe it basically looked like worse than Jabba the Hutt. If you think about it, you know, he just like mutates, and who knows? I don't even know if that was his final form or would be the final form, but that's a good example of body horror at its finest. You know, it almost looks like something out of the Substance to some degree, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think. I mean, I think the Substance is just as bad or close to it. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the viewer, you know. But no, everything in this film is so over the top in terms of, you know, blood spatter, the gore, you know. But that was the whole point of the movie. You know, they're saying like we're going to exaggerate certain things, and keep in mind when Cherry gets her new armament in terms of the you know the grenade launching, you know, machine gun.
Yeah.
That was something I didn't even put into effect when I first saw it. It's like, how is she able to trigger the trigger? You know, it's like
Yeah.
this is where you have to right here.
Suspend belief. You got to suspend belief.
You got, because you can't, if you go in here, because like me, I personally go into every film with the logistics of how this works. And it's like, dude, turn your brain off for 3 hours. This is not how it
Right.
works. Okay, because even I know that you can't do anything. There's no kind of mechanism to press it. But
Yeah, they don't get too detailed. Like they're even it's even funny how they did the sex scene with El Rey and Cherry, and so they start getting into it, and you're like, oh yeah, cool, a little bit of TNA, not really showing much TNA, but then they do this thing uh, where they the camera kind of goes like, you know, like almost like the camera got destroyed, and then they come back and say, yeah, there's a missing piece of this film, so we're just gonna give you the what's left, and then they
right.
jump to another scene. So that was clever. I liked how they played off of that, not being too gratuitous about it, but they just made it look funny in the way that, oh yeah, this film's so old, haha, that we're missing a piece of this scene. So I just thought that was a cool, clever effect by Rodriguez in that.
But that's brilliant, because, like I say, I don't think when, especially with the films back in the day when I did go see them, I don't know if I actually experienced that moment where it's like, sorry, folks, this is management, but the film you're watching, we can't salvage, so we're just going to jump to another section of it. And it's like, I don't know if I've ever experienced that. If I did, I don't. It's too young in my mind to remember it, you know. But I saw a lot of films, you know, back in that day, you know. But to remember that moment, it's such a classic example of, like, they get it. They know exactly how these films are. These kind of grindhouse films are like, and they're not, you know, they're not playing with it. And like I say, we're giving it to you point blank range, and hopefully you're enjoying what you see in there, you know. So yeah, we jump we jump to the scene where, the Jeff Fadey's barbecue shack on fire, and it's a zombie. It's like, oh my god, it's like, what's going on here, you know. And we don't really find out, because a lot of that dialogue is taken out, because it was in where before after sex scene and everything. And you know, Michael Bean, that's another good actor in here.
Yep.
Michael Bean
Yeah.
in here, the sheriff. He say, I wish I'd known that you were the El Rey, you know. And it's like, hey, need to know, because El Rey's a badass, and we find out he's a real badass. And you know, we see that he is badass with guns, you know. I mean, you twirl him around and whatever. It's like, oh damn, this dude is, how badass is this dude? You know, it's like, because Jeff even says, like, his character says, like, that boy got the devil in him, you know. So it's like, okay, whoever he is, we don't want to mess with him. So basically, all these things, they got to get to a certain place, get out of there, and whatever. And like I say, we get to the compound where the soldiers are, and they, like I say, they hide, they hit up in there and everything. And what's funny is Bruce Willis knows who El Rey is. You know, he just his name and everything. So during all this, that we already talked about Bruce Willis, Don, turning, he took out Bin Laden and everything. So they got to get out of there. There's 2 helicopters there, and El Rey asked him who knows how to fly a helicopter, and the guy, which is interesting, the guy who's the manager of the go-go dancing place, he said, "I can fly, but I ain't flying nothing," And Cherry just flips the gun into his face, like, "All right, okay." So like you would think in your mind's like, this is the last person who knows how to fly a helicopter, But hey, go with it. So we're getting to the end where they got to get past all the bad guy, the soldiers, mutated soldiers now, and of course we crank up that theme of Grindhouse by Rodriguez again, and Cherry does her thing, kicking ass, taking names, and everything, and basically, like I say, we get to the helicopters, and we see that. Well, I mean, I know I'm skipping some stuff, but I mean, it's kind of quick and dirty.
That's all right. You
It's
don't have
like,
to get every single thing. Just
but basically, they get to the helicopter and they fly out. And in this moment here, I love here. This is why I say gratuity is no fat. It's like we're gonna do it when the helicopter's spinning and the blades pretty much.
Oh yeah.
It's like a meat grinder kind of effect. It's like, wow, this is.
Yeah, for a guy that didn't want to fly and was running a go-go joint, he sure knew how to fly that helicopter pretty well. To start going at an angle, chopping them up.
Right.
And of course, again, the one of the Spanish twins is like, yeah.
You're right. She's like, yeah. Okay. I was like, you're having too much fun with this, But we see just before she gets on the helicopter, El Rey, of course, gets killed, which is sad.
Saving his girl. Saving his girl.
But he does tell her, won't be able to make it without you. He's like, yes, you will, because, and this is a line he always says, I never miss.
Yeah.
Puts his hand on the abdomen. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah. But that's funny about that scene too. So because prior, I forget I think they were rushing towards the compound initially. Mm-hmm. So El Rey was driving like a bigger vehicle. But then he had Cherry get on a motorcycle with Dakota, Brolin's wife. And Cherry goes, "Hi, I'm Cherry." And Dakota goes, "Yes, you are." And this is, of course, Cherry was the one that was supposed to get together with Tammy, who is played by Stacey Ferguson, because they were having an affair as female lovers. So obviously, at the end, when they're on the beach and all that stuff in Mexico, like even though Cherry has like the little kid on her back in her little backpack as a kid from El Rey, but like you still see Dakota, she's like got her gun and she's all badass looking and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, they probably hooked up after this.
Hey, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. That could be the case because she does look, yeah.
Really good. The thing that also I just want to talk about real quickly, because I know we want to jump to the next movie, but the other thing that was cool about this, they didn't really show it, but they implied it heavily. So Dakota and Brolin's character of William Block, they had a kid, a boy, and the boy was in the car as Dakota's really trying to get away from Brolin before all this craziness went down, because Brolin's character was just an asshole and abuser or whatever. And she was fearful. So she had the boy with her at the barbecue stand that JT owns. And I don't know why she gave him a gun. What she said, do not point this at yourself. This is dangerous, but just hold on to it and shoot anything that tries to hurt you.
Mhm.
She not walks like 2 seconds and boom, you see the blood on the windshield. And I
Right.
was like, oh my God, they just killed the kid. But
Mhm.
apparently there's a post-credit scene. I didn't catch it that has the kid and he's on the beach with his little turtle, scorpion, and tarantula. So I didn't remember
Yeah.
seeing that unless it was a different version I watched. But I kind of like the idea that they did kill him off because I think that's just a more shocking thing for the film.
Right.
And I thought it was more effective at the time. So uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that particular scene, but it's one that stood in my mind because I couldn't believe it because I forgot about it.
Right.
And then when it happened, it was like, oh my God, that's right. They killed this kid.
And it's funny you bring it up because and I actually found out behind the scenes that they actually did two different scenes where the kid actually survives, and makes it through it. But Rodriguez went with the darker version because it seemed like, yeah, if he's going through all this, I don't think he needs to be, because he's a little kid, like maybe 6 or 5 or whatever.
He's a dead weight. We don't want to keep dragging him through the movie.
Yeah, because he's going to be traumatized when he gets older. So it's like, yeah, we
Yeah.
just kill him off, but no, but Planet Terror did not disappoint, and it let me know that films like this, are just exactly what they're meant to do, just to be exploitive. And if you didn't get it, you didn't get it, But with
Yeah.
that being going on, before we get to the next feature, we're introduced with three, fake trailers. But in between those fake trailers, we have these little cues of coming attraction stumps and old. This is what I say, old type of you know theater, intermission stickers, right there, and that one is a real fake one. It's showing a a Texas Mexican restaurant, and the funny thing is when you look at it when they're playing it, it's playing, and then you can tell it's like, oh, they clipped something out, and it's like I love those kind of moments, But again, that's just added on to what this film has already been doing. And I know when they did it, they would because I was kind of wondering how they're going to do this once they let one film in and then they get into the trailers. I was like, how are they going to do it? They edited it, went to black, and then all of a sudden, bam, we get this film first, which is hold up a second, is you mentioned before. Um, where is it at? Yeah. Rob Zombie's
Yeah.
Werewolf Women of the SSS.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I mean, I happened to found this one, but it says it's banned in Germany, but I don't know if that's so true. But I was thinking, man, I hope if they ever do, he actually makes that film, but that would be kind of cool seeing that.
Yeah, obviously, it plays off the Nazi exploitation of the 70s. There's actual like Isla, the she wolf of the SS that was made back then. Really great films, very exploitative. But that was sort of the time and what they were doing back then. So I don't know why Zombie hasn't done it yet. If he's going to do it at all, I think it'd be a fun movie, especially with dealing with werewolves and stuff. It would be up my alley. But obviously, they're getting older. Sherry's a bit older now, even though she can still do the film. She's done films with them forever. But that's just one I would really like to see made. If they've already done Thanksgiving and Machete, I'd like to see that one done as well. Plus, I think, isn't that the one where they had Nicolas Cage as Fu Manchu? Isn't that the same one?
Can I just say, dude, not so much Nicolas Cage, but it's like that is so much how old Hollywoods do. It's like take a Caucasian actor, have him playing.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God, you can't be serious, but that's what they were. That's what they did, and see him say, "This is my Mecca." Killing me, dude. Oh, but I was loving it though. I was loving seeing that stuff, and it was such a revelation to see that kind of stuff. And it was like, that's why I'm saying, I mean, I wish I had got to see it again in the theater, before it came on video, because it was so much fun on the big screen than it is on home video. But the one time you get to see it, just make sure the memories stick with you, But it really stuck out for me. So, but I don't know if they'll ever do it. I mean, as you say, he's getting old. He's in our age class. Be honest with you, he's almost like us. We're getting old, and so is he. So, but I don't know. But with that, we go to the second trailer, which I have to say is a far great example of British horror, which is don't.
Don't.
don't, don't is I don't know how to best pronounce it, but don't is a great example of, if you've seen, and I'm pretty sure you have, many British horror films back in the day. The one thing that they would say that is called a certain film, a certain title in the film in the original English. When I say English, European version, but over in America, it's saying don't go in here, don't do this, don't do that. It's like here, and this was directed by Edgar Wright. Who's famous for these other films. He just called it don't, just called it don't, and let it run. And it's so, and to me, this is probably one of the more funnier of the trailer, because not to say the other two aren't funny, but this one was really funny because it's like when we get to the point where he starts saying, "Don't go this, don't do," and then he says, don't. I'm like, okay, what you're basically saying is don't do this, So, but and I don't know if you know this, you probably do. There's a cameo by Simon Pegg in here. Believe it or not, he actually makes a cameo in this film. But it's so quick you'll never know that's him.
Yeah.
But because him and Edgar Wright are good friends and everything. But that's a very good trailer. Another one of that fake trailers that I love. Of course, you mentioned which another one that's a fun one. Thanksgiving. Let's just say, can we just say that Eli Roth, he didn't play around with this one. He's and
I will say real quickly that the trailer is fun, obviously, but the movie that he did is actually way better. Like he put a lot more thought into it. Yeah, the movie is incredible. Now it's different than this. This is being a little more tongue in cheek, a little more silly, but the premise is about the same. Like it's just, you got this guy killing people on Thanksgiving and stuff. So, but I had forgotten about the trailer altogether. Like, and even now, like I was looking, because we're going to get ready to go into Death Proof, that Eli Roth actually has a character in Death Proof. So It kind of cracks me up that, again, I just think a lot of these people saw what Rodriguez and Tarantino were doing and said, I just want to be a part of this. I don't care what role you give me. Just let me be there and do it.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm in there, and now you mentioned that Michael Biehn is in this trailer too. I was like, Dad, he makes another appearance in the film. So it's like, it's like, give me some screen time. I want to have some fun with this, So
yeah.
But that's the thing. And here's the thing, before we get into Death Proof, I don't know if you ever saw the trailer for this, but it wasn't in the theatrical cut. But Hobo with a Shotgun. I don't know if you even heard about this, but this was something that was on the so-called roster to be in the film, but the timing of, because you got to remember, this movie's with Death Proof and Planet Terror, you're pushing over 3 hours long. It was like a 3 hour, 10-minute long movie. You put that in there, it's like it's gonna put it like, So I saw the trailer for it. I saw the trailer for this, but it's okay. I mean, it's not as well made as the other 3 or 4, because Machete and all that. But I feel like it's up there. But I feel like I'm kind of glad they took it out, because it wasn't necessary. These other 3 were primo for what they were delivering to the audience. Yeah. And like I say, everything, and like I say, up until this point, after seeing Planet Terror, and the 3 trailers, you're like, okay, we're up to the second viewing, the second half of this. So what's this film going to be like? And as we mentioned, Death Proof, it's pretty much a simple story if you think about it. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is, but it's way simpler than you give it credit for. And one of the things I love about
Which
this,
also leads to some of its problems, which I'll talk about later. But
okay,
it is a stacked roster again. Kurt
yes,
Russell, Zoe Bell, Rosario Dawson,
hmm,
uh, Sidney Poitier's daughter, who is
yes,
beautiful in this.
mhm,
Tracy Toms, Rose McGowan again makes another appearance in this.
right,
Jordan Ladd, Cheryl Ladd's daughter from the Charlie's Angels girl.
hmm,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's of notoriety of being in horror films forever. Great, beautiful girl. Which, again, I'm going to talk a little bit about her as we get going on there too.
cool,
Tarantino's in here. Eli Roth, as I said. Michael Parks is also in the first one. Marley Shelton, which is that
yeah,
connection we talked about with Planet Terror.
hmm,
So yeah, this is a stacked roster, but this is a movie that's really kind of a tale of two halves, and we'll talk about it as we go through it. But it is a tale of two halves. So I'll let you go ahead and set us up for what
well,
we'll be
before we
talking
get to,
about.
and that's one thing I want to ask you, and let me bring that up. Does this film is even though it's like 90 minutes, a little over 90 minutes long, does it feel like two films in a way? That particular this Death Proof.
No, I mean, I guess in some ways you could say yes. I mean, but the only reason why I say it's kind of like a tale of two halves because the mistake that's made in this for me is the first half is so much darker, whereas the second half kind of takes a more lighter tone, and then our character of Stuntman Mike isn't really the same guy we saw from the first half.
I say.
And so to me, I don't know exactly why. I think this is the one that Tarantino did. I'm not sure why he did such a vast difference of how he approached it. I mean, I don't really have a problem with the girls in the second half being our heroes. Like I think that's fine. But it's just a very different vibe from what we got from the first half, which I thought was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I mean, that's and like I said, we'll get into that in a minute, but that's kind of it's kind of funny because with Death Proof, it's as I say again, it's a very simplified story, but the way it's brought out, it's almost like they're saying, okay, this is like what the car or Christine is like. It's someone behind the wheel and they're using it to kill people who are pedestrians, and everything. But Death Proof is taking an old, which that's kind of Tarantino style, taking old stuff that is, basically this. So it's like,
Gravity and Geras confirmed.
okay, probably, yep.
You're not spoiling shit, are you? I'm gonna
I'm
kick
gonna
your
say, I
ass.
hope you're not. I mean, no,
Kick
I
you right
think
in the
that's like
balls.
you. I
Mhm.
think no, I think because we feel that because look, before we go any further, let me get something out of the way right now. Someone says the newer minus zero has two Godzillas. I doubt that. I don't believe that's true. If that's
I
the
don't think
case,
so
then
either.
yeah, I mean, if you say it is, it's like that's your opinion. But
I mean,
until
does anybody really believe the director would do that? Like that doesn't even sound like something he would do.
no,
Like, I think that you can guess all day who the villain's going to be. Everyone's saying it could be Ghidorah, it could be Hedorah, and Geras has come up, but like at the end of the day, I don't see two Godzillas. I don't know
yeah,
where that would even come from.
yeah, that's I figured
Well,
that's
yeah, I saw the meme where you had that sky shot where our hero is flying through the houses and the bluish sky, and someone put like Anguirus, a picture of Anguirus up there,
that's
but I don't think that's really gonna happen.
I mean, if they look, I mean, because look, honestly, seeing that moment, I mean, we'll get back into the film in a minute, but seeing that where we see all these things in the sky, different debris of buildings or vehicles, and it's like, okay, he's up in the ante a lot here, but still trying to keep it grounded for what it
Hmm.
is. So, I mean, I'll just go one further real quick. If this is Bear Rugon from the Gamma universe, okay, that would be that would kind of be messed up, because like, oh, we're getting something from another studio in here, Monster, Kaiji. But again,
Oh, do you
that's
know how
it's
pissed out people would be if Daiei said, "Yeah, you can get Baragon, but we're not giving you Gamma"? It's like, fuck you, man. Come on now.
right, exactly. So it's like, we're not going there. But but then getting back to the Grindhouse thing, and just the clarification too, older Godzilla films when they were getting back and get into the 70s, they were more grindhousey in a way back then
Sure.
too. So it's not that far off when we're talking about this. So
Yeah.
just add that on that. But anyway, Death Proof pretty much takes because this is what Tarantino is famous for, taking old stock cues from other films that he enjoys and everything, and the music that you hear at the beginning of Death Proof is from Valley of the Giants. I don't know if you've ever seen that film before, where it's dealing with teenagers who eat something this kid makes and it
Oh
grows them
yeah.
up.
It has a young, is it Jeff Bridges in this?
Bo
Bo
Bridges.
Bridges, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have
yeah,
seen that. Good film. Good film.
it actually, believe it or not, it actually is. It's not that bad. It's like, in fact, one of the women has in there. You probably heard she passed away recently. You know,
Oh wow, I
she
did not
really
know
passed
that.
away. She was up in age, so it's like, hey, but at least we get to see her in all her glory, no matter how
Oh
big she
yeah,
is. But
yeah.
but no, he plays that music, and we're just seeing. And the funny thing is, the great thing about this is that it does a quick wipe, real quick, of showing what the original title is of this film. It says White Lightning or something like that, and then all of a sudden it shows the marquee title, Death Proof. So
Mm.
I was like, that's brilliant. It's like you don't know what to expect from what they're going to give to you. And I say, Tarantino does a good job. And we get a very, of course, one of Tarantino's fetishes right off the bat, which is seeing a person's feet, female feet. I was
Yeah.
like, can I just say, personally, this is me. I didn't realize that Tarantino had that fetish embedded in him. I didn't realize that that was something that he was such a fan of, watching his films. I didn't realize that he loves women's feet so much.
Of course. How much did he like having fucking Salma Hayek put her toes into his mouth and From Dusk Till Dawn? I mean, Jesus
Right.
Christ.
I mean, come on. I mean, hey, you know what? And truth be told, I bet he wrote that just for him.
Yeah, you know he did. He
I
said,
mean,
Salma, look, we're gonna have this thing where you're just gonna shove your toes in my mouth.
I'm like, come on, man. You gonna tell me that's what that's all about? It's like, hold up a second.
I see. It was. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my God. This.
I never really thought about it until you brought it up. But now I'm thinking
No,
all the films,
no,
definitely.
because I was thinking that same thing because
Going back to Uma Thurman and Pulp Fiction, it's all about the
yes,
rubbing your feet while they killed that dude. Like, Emily, Jesus Christ.
I'm like, well, hell, like I say, when you watch the
See, now I'm going to have to go watch Inglourious Bastards and like the Hateful Eight just to see if I can find a toe scene in there. There's got to be one.
Well,
There's got to be. There's
it
got to
might
be.
be. I'm not gonna say it isn't.
If he's consistent with this shit like he is, there's got to be a toe
Yeah.
scene somewhere.
But I think you're right though. I think it's very, like Anthony was saying, it's very out there in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it's like even Maggie Robbie's feet, where she's kind of feet on the seat when she's in the theater, they're dirty, but it's like, dude, do you want to show dirty feet? Like, I'm like, fine. That's your movie. Do what you want to do. But anyway, we get his foot fetish out the way. Yes, we get his foot fetish out the way, and we see that, like I say, it's just going through the motion with the title, and we, like you say, mentioned before, it's a good roster of people, being brought on and everything. It's like, oh wow, we got some decent actresses in here, so we
Yeah,
cut
very
to us.
very good
We
looking actresses.
Yeah, and oh my God, yes. I mean, let's firsthand say that these are some of the best. I mean, they're good actresses, but damn, boy, they are so fine. They're beautiful. I'm like, shit, you know. So, yeah, I that doesn't. Hey, it doesn't hurt to have beautiful women in roles. You
Yeah,
know,
and again, because people will get their arms up sometimes about exploitation, but this is the theme of the movie for one. This would be, if you were watching this in the 70s, this would be how it'd be shot. So obviously the actresses involved understand the plot and the context of which they're showing their goods, basically. And really, I don't think there was any real nudity. I think it was just panties and just skimpy outfits. I don't think there was ever any real exploitive shots that you would see in like the older stuff. So they still kept it pretty respectful for the actresses when they did this. But again, it's the context of what they're presenting to the audience.
yeah, because I mean, it's. I mean, they could have gone that route, but I'm actually kind of glad they didn't do that because it's like we see that, but and it's kind of funny because Rosario Dawson's in here. There's a film where she actually does full on full frontal nudity. I'm just like, whoa, okay. I mean, hats off to her, but I didn't think she would ever do that, you know. But it's not necessary in here, you know. And I feel like that's the thing. Is you say it's implied, but it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be seen. So that's the thing. But like I say, we get into the storyline and we're introduced to Jungle Julie, you know, and her friends and misfits and everything. And like I say, Tarantino does not disappoint when it comes to script writing. You know, when he writes, he throws in so many things, so many side notes or something like that, talking about this and everything. And I love this moment here where they say that they always scream when they see Jungle Julie's poster on the when they're going down the road because they're going to meet up with a couple of friends at this restaurant. Then they go to this bar later on. But that moment where their car goes around and all of a sudden it's like it teleported, and then we see the car that Kirk Russell's character, Stuntman Mike, is following them. We don't know who this is, but no, that's a great editing moment right there. It's like a few frames and the car's gone. It disappears. Like what? Did it teleport or something? So, but that's a good example of saying like, hey, this is exactly what you're going to get. This is what you got to get. And the funny thing is, I got to say this: the film does it well at the first half of it, but I think when we get, well, in fact, we'll get there when we get there. But anyway, we find out that he's following these three girls. Okay, and I'm trying to think what's her name. Her first name is Vanessa, but I forget what her last name is. The one who notices the car, and
Oh, isn't that the DJ, Julia?
not Julia, the girl that's the brunette, the dark haired one. She's the white girl that notices Stuntman Mike's car to begin with at the beginning. I forget
Yeah,
what
I
the
thought that was her for some reason.
yes. I'm not gonna look it up. I mean, but she's the one who actually notices these things out of the corner of her eye, and like I say, they're at the bar and they're just spending.
Well, is that Arlene
Not
Butterfly?
Arlene. Yeah, Butterfly. Yeah, I'm sorry, Butterfly. That's
Same
it.
same girl, yeah.
Okay, Butterfly. Okay, I might be. Okay, that's right. It is. Okay, that's right. It's tend to forget that's what that is. She has so many names, but no. But with that, we Jungle Julie tells her Butterfly that she did something on the radio, and Butterfly's asking, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "I did something that if you do something, you have to give them a lap dance." I was like, "What?"
Mhm.
So I don't think we're gonna see it, But as it turns out, they're at the bar, they're talking, and they did eventually. I mean, they're at the restaurant where they're at. They're talking, and then it cuts to the bar they're actually in, where all the, you know, dialogue. This is why I say I love the real structure of the story, how it's done. You know, even though it's in a grindhouse kind of feels and everything, we get to find out that Stuntman Mike has been following them, but he's he's like a stealth mode kind of individual. We see him, but we don't see him, and all the girls are doing, because that's one thing, they're getting high on weed, they're getting drunk, they're getting intoxicated, they're getting all these things. But he's, as he said, he's a what the fuck he say? See, basically he's
Oh,
drinking.
finish.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, because I was like, I'm a toe something something to deal with toes. I don't know what the fuck it says. That's another. I think that's another scream to Tarantino. That's his toe fetish or whatever. Anyway, he's drinking non-alcoholic beverages, and he's eating some, and and we're introduced to Rose McGowan's character in another way, playing another different role. That's something that grindhouse films used to do. If an actress or actor did one film that you're watching that's double billed with something else, you're going to see him in another film, and so be it. She's in this film playing a blonde.
And
But anyway,
I do like the misdirection in this because, again, it's not as um, crazy as far as like character differences in the first one, but in this one, obviously, there's a tie-in where McGowan's character is familiar with the girls that are partying on another table. And I guess those girls at one point used to bully her in high school or something. So there's like this connection there with that. But they never really dive too much into it because it's not really going to matter by the end of it.
right.
But yeah, so Mike's in there. He's eating some nachos. He doesn't drink, which it plays a major part in how the first half of the film will end, of this film will end. But he's talking because he hears McGowan's character says she's trying to get a ride home. Mm-hmm. So Mike's like, well, he throws the car keys at her and says, your chariot awaits. And so this just starts like this whole dialogue. And of course, throughout this evening while these girls are drinking and smoking weed, they talk to Mike occasionally here outside and inside. And it's kind of nice how they lay it out, but it's like, they're very, the girls are very dismissive and kind of like mocking Mike. They say he's like living in the old times with the hairdo and his thing. But, then he starts telling the story how he's a stuntman and he's been in movies and they're kind of curious about it. But then it gets awkward. And then eventually, as he's getting ready to leave, McGowan's character is going to go with him. And of course, the girls are like, oh, someone's going to get a piece of ass. And she like gets offended. She's like, no, I am not going to sleep with them. That's not the plan here. No. So it's almost like, despite having been bullied by these girls probably in high school, she's almost kind of like not wanting them to think that she's a whore either. So it's just this weird dynamic that they do before she ends up getting in the car with Mike to go to her end of life. So yeah.
No, because that's no. I was gonna say that's the kind of misdirect in there so easily because you don't know where it's going with, and of course, this is a moment like I say he's getting ready to get in the car. Kirk Russell does, because that's something, and I guess maybe that was either something that was applied, or maybe you think it's going to happen because this is not something to be taken seriously. But he breaks the fourth wall. He just looks into the camera and just smiles. I was like, okay, what are you doing? What's up your sleeve here? What you about to do here? So he hit, like I say, the car he's in is a stunt-proof, wreck-proof car,
which goes back to what you talked about at the beginning about Tarantino's attention to detail about the stuntmen and the cars they use, because obviously she gets in and there's this plexiglass wall between stuntman Mike and the passenger seat, and the passenger seat has no seat. Yeah. So he's got the roll cage and everything, but Tarantino does a nice job of having Mike explain to her why that is. So even though she gets in, she's a little confused and like, why isn't there a seat here? He takes good good care and describing with Mike
Yeah.
why that is, so thus us the viewers, we can't say to ourselves, well, this looks obvious or this looks like ominous,
Yeah.
but we don't really know that because we're looking at this and then we're just saying, okay, yeah, he's a stuntman, so it makes fucking sense what he's saying.
And that's brilliant. I mean, because like I said, because I myself kind of knew about stuff like that, but not as much because, like I say, Tarantino's he details every minute thing just to give you a hint of like, yeah, this is gonna come later on in a scene coming up next, which is like I say, he tells Rose McGowan's character, which way you going? It's like, I'm going to the no, I'm going to the right. I'm going. Oh, that's too bad. And he says, like, she says, why? It's like, well, there was a 50-50 chance that you was going to go left, everything, but you know, you're going to have to start doing something now because we're going left, and it would have been a while before you started screaming, but that's when he says, but you're gonna have to start getting scared or start screaming immediately. And it's like, there we go. We're on a roll here. So we don't know exactly what the hell's going on. So
Yeah, you got to understand too, because once she gets in the passenger seat, she can't get out. There's no handles for her to even get out of the car, so she is now locked in this little box in the passenger seat with no seatbelt, which comes up again. He's like, it'd be nice if you had one of these, but
because he even says, like, say, this is a 100% death proof car. But to really get the full benefit, yeah, it's like you got to be sitting in my seat. It's like, wow. And he just stomps on the brake and just bam.
oh yeah,
I was like,
snaps
okay.
the neck, boom, hits the windshield.
He is really good. Yeah, he is really good. Well, anyway, he's cold blooded, and he's like, damn, dude, what is with this dude killing women like this? It's like, she's just an innocent bystander, but it's like, no, he didn't look at it that way. He gets off on doing this, and when he kills these other women, of course, that's what I say. It's a good build up. We see that they're just chilling, listening to the radio, and as he passes by, he gets like maybe about a mile or something like that down the road. Turns off his headlights. Yes, turns off his headlights. In fact, I'll let you kind of describe this scene a little bit because it's
so after he's he hit the brakes and snapped Rose McGowan's character's neck because she's dead in the passenger seat now. So he flies to catch up with the other girls in their car. Passes them by. Now, keep in mind, they're been drinking, smoking, they're listening to music, and the girl, DJ Julia, she's got her leg out the passenger door. You just know it's, again, feats. You just know something bad is going to happen here. And so Mike flies down the road, pitch black. He spins the car around and hits the lights off. And so then he begins revving up the engine, flying back the other way towards the girls. And when he finally hits them again, this is probably the best part of this first half for Tarantino, because obviously when you have cars colliding, it happens so fast that you're going to miss some shit. So what Tarantino does is brilliant, is he rewinds and goes in slow-mo exactly how the crash happens, what happens during the crash. So as Mike comes up, flicks the lights on, the girls can't react, and boom, he hits them, and he basically launches the car he's in over, and it kind of rolls. He's got the roll cage and everything. And you're like, oh, okay, well, he just crashed. But then the way that Tarantino works it is goes back and shows exactly what happens to each girl as he crashes into him. So obviously the driver hits the windshield. She probably dies from the impact, much like McGowan. We see the leg fly. We know that's gone. And she's probably toast. Lad's character, the blonde, I think she just she goes through the fucking windshield. She flies through the windshield. Yes. And then the worst is our leading girl, Arlene Butterfly. The rear tire from fucking Mike's car comes up on her face and just rips her fucking face off.
Yes.
and it's just so grotesque, but it's so well done, and it's just horrific. And so again, you'll understand now as we go into the second half why I'm a little bit more disappointed with the second half. Even though the tables are kind of turned, it's far different vibe than what we got in the first half. So
Yes.
if you want to add anything to what I said, go ahead, and then we'll
Well,
jump
just
into
well,
yeah.
like I said before we get into the second half, because like I say, I think you said it best, because the first half of this film is, basically, yeah, all these little nuances of how it looks like in a grindhouse motif, and when we see the aftermath in terms of, because like I say, this is all real stunts and everything, and you still see the scratches and pops and whatever aging of the film, even when we get into the hospital where stuntman Mike is at, you know, we see, of course, characters from the previous film, and
Yep.
here the nurse, the chef, and this is why I say I love moments like this, where the sheriff is saying, "Doctor Block, what's the patient's prognosis, Doctor Block?" He's like just messing with it. We find out that all these people are related. Well, we kind of knew that she was related to him in the first one, the doctor, but
Yeah.
we don't know that the person that's next to him, which is his son, we realize that that's their siblings too. The girl and the boy are, sister and brother, because he just says, tell us this and that, and like I say, it's if you hear it, you just miss it. But he says, related to or blah blah blah, because he says, well, son number one is like, okay, so that means you've had more than one son, but at the same time, you're the father of this girl, So it's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, so that's why I say the way Tarantino does these little nuances with his, writing, some people will miss it, but it's like it's right there in your face, So they're all related regardless of that. So up until this point, everything's still going pretty strongly in terms of, you know, the storyline. But I feel, and I'm not saying that this is just me. I don't feel the actresses that's in the second part are bad. They are good. They're
No.
brilliant.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
The vibe switches drastically, I
Hmm.
feel. Because I don't know if you noticed this, you probably do. When they're in the restaurant and they're talking and everything, it still has that kind of age look for a moment. But when they head to this place where they're looking at because Zoe, we're introduced to Zoe Bell, who's actually, we call her Zoe, but she's the actual stunt person, and she's an actress
Hmm.
too. Probably that's Tarantino's collaboration individual. He always hooks up with her and everything, do stuff. He, like I say, she's talking about looking up a guy who's got a car that looks like, and you mentioned this before, crazy. Was it Gone at Six? No, not Gone at 66. It's Crazy Larry. What was the? Let me see. Make sure. Hold up, because you
You
had.
got part of it, so yeah.
Yeah. Because what the hell is it not going? It's not going up. Okay, it's not going. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up.
Crazy Larry, Dirty Harry, or something.
Yeah, it's you
Some
had said
to
it, not Rolling Thunder. No, Dirty Mary. Yeah, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. That's what it was.
yeah.
Okay. It's a car that was played in that film. So she just happened to see it in the papers because she's in New Zealand. She
Well,
said,
I think the film for the car is in Vanishing Point. I think that's the one
Vanishing
that.
Point. What am I talking about? Yes, Vanishing. I'm not Crazy Larry. Vanishing. Oh,
It's all good.
and I've seen these films too. That's the other thing. I've seen Vanishing Point, which is a good film. Very underrated film, I would say, because the way it ends, Vanishing Point, it's very bittersweet. It's very sad, but hey, you get your freedom some kind of way. But anyway, Vanishing Point. It's in that film, and she and her friends go to drive out there to this guy. This is where I feel like, okay, what happened here? Not because they're there and they still dialogue and everything. Notice how the film looks after when they're in the diner.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like modern day film stock. It looks like
Yeah.
very crisp, very clean, very
Yeah.
no scratches. Nothing. It's like uh
And it's only supposed to take like a year after the accident. So obviously, when Stuntman Mike's in the hospital and the cops are there talking to him, which is one of the cops from the other film,
mm-hmm.
uh, they, the sheriff thinks that Stuntman did it on purpose, but because he doesn't drink and the girls were drinking, it's chalked up as them probably crossing over the lane and running into his car. So he's able to escape any kind of like conviction or anything for the wreck, and he survives because obviously he's a stuntman.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. The film itself changes where it's no longer really any kind of stock footage or grimy aesthetic to the filmmaking, except for maybe the very end where they just do that whole like this is just the end type thing. But there's so much different about this part of it. Like again, the female actresses are not the problem. It's acted well.
Yeah.
It's just different than what we got. And even with Stuntman Mike, it's like for a guy that to me got away with what he did in the first, a year earlier, the way that he behaves in this is far different. Like he's not this calm, cool, calculated guy. It's almost like he's a goof, because when he finally gets the tables turned, he acts like a pussy. It's like he's scared and all this other shit. And I'm like, this isn't the same dude. Like, I don't get this. This doesn't make sense to the character that you've laid out for us. The other issue I would have, and we got more to talk about with this, obviously, but
right.
So you mentioned they go to find this car that was from Vanishing Point, and Zoe wants to do what's called ride the hood, as she'll strap herself to the side, and as Kim drives fast, it's kind of like car surfing. She's on the hood and she's just trying to like hold on. Dawson's character, Abernathy, is just kind of like, she's kind of shy, but she's coming out of her shell with the girls. But the thing that got me was they left Abernathy, played by Winstead, in her cheerleading outfit with the guy that owns the car, telling them that she's a porn actress. And like, for one, I think that's kind of funny because she's also very shy, the character,
right?
And she's the one that Mike was kind of playing footsies with when she had her foot out the car,
right?
But we'll talk about it after the end. But like, we never get any conclusion to what happened to her. Why would the girls leave her behind with some random dude? And I'm just like, because you look and see how these girls react. They chase down Mike. After Mike spends time bumping into them and hitting them with the car as they're racing down the road, Mike takes off because the Kim, she shoots him with a gun in the arm and he just takes off.
Right.
And then the girls are like, Zoe's like, well, do you want to go chase after him? I'm like, okay, so you're badasses, but you left your girlfriend with some rando dude. Like, that makes zero sense to me. So it doesn't mesh. It just doesn't mesh for me. And I have a hard time with the second half of this film because, as I said, Mike, once they start chasing him down, it's fun to watch, but it's a totally different character. I don't know how you feel about that, but you can talk about it a little bit if you want.
Well, and you bring up good points about that because it's almost like when he gets shot. I mean, he's kind of being goofball when he's chasing him and doing everything, whatever. But it seems like when he gets shot, that's when he becomes this pathetic loser of a character. I'm like, what? Do you lose all your powers being a dickhead or being a sociopath? So it's like, yeah. And then, like, yeah, as you say, you're leaving one of your people behind. This is one of the reasons why Kim and Zoe saying, can we just leave you guys here? Because it would be two of these girls.
Yeah.
And even oh my God, that's even she says, like, I think one person will be enough to leave behind. It's like, oh, so what you're basically saying is you don't give a fuck about this other person. You just want to go with them, see if they're gonna have fun with it. Like, so you basically are saying that you're worse than. Now, you're bad, but you're worse than they are because you're willing to live your
And they
friend
didn't even
dead.
leave her a gun. Like it's
Yeah,
like they had the gun. They could have left her with the gun or something like that. But they basically set her up because they're like, yeah, she's a porn star, because we're shooting a porn. And I'm like, dude, you're making it worse. This dude's gonna go in there thinking he's gonna get his dick sucked or something. I'm like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like,
And
dude,
then you never really get any conclusion of that. And I'm like, well, that's weird.
that, and I think that's the whole point. It's like you really do not get no conclusion because as I say, I didn't know how this film was going to end. I didn't know how that storyline was going to be, but
Right.
they when they get the upper hand, they catch up with him, and they give good chase. And like I say, this is good. This is good moments of good car stunt work. You love it. This is old style Hollywood style way of filmmaking and everything. They doing good, but when they finally do catch up with him because he manages to get away for a minute, and then they get to a point where the Kim starts saying, don't dead end," and they finally do catch him, and then all of a sudden they just whip him around and make him tumble over and everything. So they all three of them get out the car like badass females, coming around, and he's oh my god, he is screaming like a banshee right now. He
Yeah.
is so like I'm like, dude, be up. Like I said, where are your balls at right now? You mean tell me you got castrated this quickly? It's like damn, dude, it's like be up. I mean, I understand it's painful what you're going through, but kind of
Yeah, because in the first half, you feel like Stuntman Mike has done this countless times because the way that they present him, like this is what he does. There is no like this is my first time going and killing girls. This is something that he does. He's a predator.
yeah.
But then by the time you get to the second half, it's like after he spins out and they spin out, he's like, "Girls, that was fun." I'm like, "What?" It was just so totally different. I couldn't understand the mentality of like how his character went from one thing to this.
Right.
And then, as you said, once at the end, they're just beating the shit out between the three of them. And like, I'm like, okay, well, that's sort of like that whole they're going to pull martial arts shit on him or whatever and beat his ass, which is fine. But again, we leave Lee at the farmhouse. I'm like, what happened to her? Like, what are we doing? What happened?
And of course, when they get through beating his ass, and Zoe does that kick to him to the face and everything. Boom! It's the end. It's like it gives this triumphant sounds. Like that's it.
And that goes back to that grainy part that you said, like the abrupt ending to like martial arts film, or like it just you kill the guy and then it's done, it's over, the end. Right. It's sort of like that because they just kicked his ass. You kind of expected him either to die or something else, but it's like the girls just go yay, and then it's like the end.
Like, that's it. I like that. Like, and the funny thing is, but before it goes off, we see, of course, the credits come up. We come back to them. And Dawson's character does this one like high kick and just like bam, crushes skull, and it's like, and that's it. I mean, we ain't worried about. And the funny thing is, that's the thing we have to keep in mind. We're not worried about Lee, which we are worried about it, but it's like, what happened to Lee being with the guy at the farm?
Not to mention his car's toast now.
That's the other thing. His car is fucked. Okay, fucked beyond all recognition. So it's like, so we're not going to rectify. It's like, nope. We're done. We're over with. They're done.
Yeah, if Lee wasn't a porn star, she will be now because they did the collateral. The car's done.
It's like he look. He's owed something, so it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to,
He's gonna be like, okay, well, my car is trash, so I'm getting all four of you in the bedroom.
There you go. See, it's like you gotta have some kind of payment.
But then again, they're violent, so who knows how that would have played out?
Oh my god! But that was, but like I say, it ends abruptly like that. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that was it, So and then it does this, which is such a not so much unusual, but it's just little bits and pieces of like test footage or stuff like that during the credits, and like I say, the whole movie itself combined, it ends like that, and that's pretty much it. It's like, wow, that was, and I will say this for me, I mean, besides that particular ending for the film with Death Bruce, like the whole film in my mind was like, hey, you know what? This is a gem of a film. I mean, I just wish that we could have resolved that little issue with Lee in the car, but it's like, nah, we don't need to, because I think that's the whole Grindhouse style. It's like you're
Yeah.
left with your own mindset on that, you know.
And I probably would have been okay with that if it would have been a little more consistent with the characters flowing into the second half of the film. Like, I can live with the idea that you're trying to pay tribute to the old school Grindhouse and how you want to make it look the same that it would be back then. But again, you mentioned how it just looked cleaner in the second half, which doesn't really match. And then just some of the issues towards the end, like the things with Lee, the car, whatever. But overall, yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, I think I'd give Death Proof like a 7 out of 10, but then I'd give Planet Terror like a 10 out of 10, and altogether it's probably like a 9.5. Like, it is a very good Grindhouse feature with two films. I would never say Death Proof is a worthless piece of shit or anything. I just love the first half of that so much more than the second half, unfortunately.
And I'm kind of the same way, and it's what you say. You want to be consistent, even though it is a Grindhouse nature, but it's like you want to try to keep that momentum of what we're trying to do in terms of, both character and the style and everything. And like I say, when you take away what you came to see the film, it's like, okay, don't modernize it now. I mean, this is still in that universe of the scratches and the wear of the film. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to come to. But overall, like I say, with Death Proof, I'm kind of like you. I give it like a 7. I give it a 7. Definitely with Planet Terror, I gave it at least a 9, because it went hard with what it was doing.
Mhm.
It definitely did that. And with everything else, this film altogether, all the things, the fake trailers and all that stuff, I give it a 9.5. I actually
That's
do,
where I am, yeah.
because I feel like this film is as I say again, is one of those gems that's a rarity, but unfortunately, not a lot of people have taken stock to say, let's do something like this. I mean, they're making these films, but they're not taking they're not trying to have fun with it. I mean, I put it like this: if you ever saw this film on Netflix called Thrash, I know that's probably an example of what you call a Grindhouse exploitation type film. But the thing about that is, they know this is it's making fun of. But to me, it's not doing the same justice as what this film does. This film really hits it out the ballpark of what it's trying to give you to the audience, and I think that's the whole aesthetic of it. It's making you realize that this is what these things were back in the day, but we're just paying homage to now. And this film is next year will be over 20 years old. That's the thing
I
about
know,
it.
it's crazy
It's
already.
old. I didn't realize it is, but when it gets there, it shows you how strongly, well, at least for us, still watching it, watching in a while, we realize that there's true potential with this, but at the same time, we know that there's some hits and misses in this. It is, but you still get the enjoyment out of it all the same, though.
Yep.
And think about that. But with that being said, that was a fun ride going through this, because I wanted to tackle this because not a lot of people talk about this particular film, because I guess it's maybe not their cup of tea, and maybe because it's different genres involved in it. But I wanted to talk about it because it's a fun ride. I mean, it doesn't. And truth be told, I don't know how you feel about it, but it doesn't feel like a 3-hour stretch. I don't
No.
know. Yeah,
It flows pretty nicely, and obviously because Death Proof is actually probably a little shorter, I think.
hmm
The other thing that was very interesting, and this is why I also said that the actors involved with this, like, Tarantino's a big name, and so is Robert Rodriguez by now. But for whatever reason, both these movies did not do that well in theaters in terms of
sure.
like the budgets. So this is really just a love letter for a lot of the actors and for the directors to do. So again, it would be a cult classic now, because I do love them, and so do you, obviously.
Yeah.
But it didn't make a lot of money, which kind of surprised me just because of the name. But again, I think the actors that all got involved and the directors said, you know what? I don't care if it doesn't make a dime. I really want to work with these guys. I want to be in this film. Looks like a lot of fun. And that's what they did. Everyone just kind of had a good time with it,
And that's, and like I say that, and honestly though, I think that's what it all boils down to. You may make some money, but it's not about that. It's about what you did, and like I say, you actually did it. So, and it's,
Yeah.
and I'm glad they. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm glad they did it, because if they didn't do it, it's like we would have lost out on something that was going to be gold years later.
I would be fine if they wanted to do a couple new ones. Do some more Grindhouse, man. I'd eat it up.
Yeah. And just kind of add on to that, someone was in talks about doing a number 2, but I mean, what can you really do? I mean, because like I say, the aesthetic, will people want to go see? That's the climate back then is a whole different ball game now, because things right now is so cluttered with all these political idealisms and all that. I'm like, oh my god, dude. I mean, it's funny how so much time has progressed since then. Could they do it now? I don't know. And I don't know.
But Tarantino's never been one to care. Like, again, these are films I think that would have to be self-budgeted. So it would be stuff that they would have to do and handle themselves, because obviously, like in a perfect world, get them to get together with Zombie and whoever to do Werewolf Women of the SS and don't. And that'd be a good team up for a movie. And then just have Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino kind of oversee it and help it get funded. But I think that would be fun. Those two films, if they just take those trailers now and make those into movies, that would be fun.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But yeah, we've but no, like I say, thank you again. De Niro. I'm about to call you De Niro. You're De Niro. Yeah, so it's DJ, but not De Niro. Although you could make some De Niro. Thank you for bringing on this ride. We're talking about Grindhouse, the movies in that time.
No problem.
But with that being said, what do you have that's coming up on your channel that people might want to tune into?
Well, next week, pretty much what I have on the platter right now is I'm going to be doing my next Lone Wolf with Dub, talking about the kid with the golden arm, Shaw Brothers martial arts film. I'll be reviewing that. Thursday is the NFL draft. And so as every year, Big Mike and I will get together for Poetic Carnage, and we'll be going live to kind of give our ideas of who our teams will draft and what some of the other teams will draft, the top draft picks. And it's just for the first night, going through and just seeing how the draft plays out, talk a little football with people who are into sports and stuff like that. Friday, Ghouls at Midnight, we're going to get back, Mr. Anthony Jordan and I from Movies and Gaming. We're going to be debuting our show together with the Ghouls at Midnight, and it'll be my pick of Watch Them Come Blood, which is not a porno, but it does have like a similar vibe in terms of what I've seen of the trailer, of like that sort of Grindhouse type 70s vibe, but it's a modern film done that way. So that would be my pick. Then later in the evening, Necro and I will get together to do the top rock and metal albums of April. And then Saturday, I will be joined with Thrash Pondo Ponds for another episode of Vintage Cult Cinema. We'll be tackling David Lynch's Wild at Heart.
Oh, nice.
And then later in the evening, once a month I get together with all of them for Silver Screen Savants, and we are going to be doing Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That would be a cool one. I'm definitely tuning in for that one because I mean, Killer Clowns is
It's a fun film.
It's a fun film, definitely a fun film. Well, as far as that goes, that's good lineup you got going on. Me personally, I don't have too much, but I'm going to try to do. And it's probably going to be at the like tail end of the next month. But next Saturday, I'm supposed to get. In fact, tomorrow. Now that I think about it, tomorrow I'm supposed to get in touch with G84, and we're just going to have a discussion talking about different genres, about certain things, every little topics, everything. We're gonna, I think it's going to be recording, but if it is live, I'll let people know. But I think it's going to be recorded though. Next Saturday, I'm supposed to get in touch with another content creator, Sci-Fi Century, and we're actually going to be discussing, which turned 60 this year, Gamera versus Baragon, or War of the Planets. We're going to be talking about that, but it's going to be recording because certain things you got to do. And next month, whatever comes up, I'm going to. I think it's next Saturday. Yeah, he did say next Saturday. I'm going to try to get a couple of people to get on a podcast talking about the Whale God. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's
I don't think so.
It's a Daiei Tokusatsu kaiju film. It's a very rare one. It's one of those films that if you never heard of it, you could have heard of it, but the thing about it is it slipped under the radar and it was almost lost, believe it or not. It was almost lost, but somebody managed to find a good print of it and, well, present it to the world. Yeah, save it. So culture and art still survives. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got coming up. I know there's something on Mr. Kevin Lambert's channel that's set in the future that I want to be a part of, but that's like way down the line. But that's before G-Fest too. And I want to bring up something too, real quick. It's less than 3 months until G-Fest comes around. So anyone who's watching who's a G-Fest fan, just know that don't be such a hurry. Just count down the days, and when you get there, everything should be fine, whatever might come. But anyway, that being said, thank you again, Anubis, not De Niro, Anubis, for being that. Thank you, everybody who came to watch and whatever, because like I say, this was an interesting topic. I mean, I just wanted to get into this because it is a film that I don't feel has a lot of love gone into it, but thankfully people like you and me have some kind of kudos to it and knowing that we love it, for what it is. And we keep on talking about it. With films like this, we need to discuss because otherwise they will get pushed under the rug. They will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but with that being said, we close out with this by me always saying, because I always love doing this, and it's funny how I came up with this exit so on the fly one day. I always say, y'all take care, y'all please be patient. And I say it with kaiju, but I'm going to say with film, y'all keep the not the kaiju, sorry, the film legacy alive, okay? And that's how we do that. All right, then. Take it easy.